Hi everyone, and welcome to Billy Fitzgerald Golf. And today I want to talk about posture. Posture can dramatically affect how your body moves, and it can either help your swing or it definitely can make this game a whole lot tougher. So for posture, my biggest thing is that we need to be in balance and we need to be aligned with the target. So the first thing I want to get to is, again, aligned with your target, and I'm basically talking about your hips and shoulders. So you can see I have a work area here. So what I've got is a line, not necessarily a stance line, but it's just a line between me and the golf ball, so I know it's parallel. It gives me a reference point, so my eyes, my shoulders, and hips can be parallel to that line. So it gives me a reference point. If you want to stagger your stance a bit, that's fine. You know, a lot of good players are open or slightly closed. Again, that is up to you. But our hips and shoulders better be fairly square, because that's where it's going to direct where our arms are going. So the other thing I have here is an intermediate target. So we have to make sure that we're lined up correctly so that our posture can be lined up correctly. So I know I'm already lined up correctly. So if I set the face down, okay, I do see people doing this. Unfortunately, when they do this, it can't be at the target. It has to be for a right-hander. It has to be left of the target. Okay, so just for instance, if this is my target line and this is my body line, if this line's going at the target, then the face of the club, which is going to propel the ball to the destination, is going to be upwards of 30 yards not correct, or to the right of the target. If I line up my body with my, and this, we went over this in alignment, if I line up my body with my target, then my club face is going to be off. So my body has to feel, for right-handers, it has to feel left of the target. We are swinging on a tilted circle, so the club is going to go away from the ball and then come back down from the inside, hit it, and then leave left of it, because we're swinging on a tilted circle. So as I start to mess with my body lines, it's going to mess with that circle. So I need to make sure that my alignment's correct, and that's going to give me a reference point of where my shoulders and hips are going to go. For right-handers, it's parallel left. So now, when you think of posture, probably a little bit more important thing is you need to have a balanced posture. That's the biggest thing. And people's posture is going to be different based on you know, how flexible you are, or just how you're built. People are built different. Not everybody's posture is going to look the same. So one thing I will say is that if I'm just standing straight up and down, and this is what I would recommend you doing, is stand straight up and down, I can feel how my feet are. Okay, I feel more pressure probably in the middle of my foot, some in my heel, not as much as my toe probably, but pretty balanced. So what I want you to feel is what your toe is doing. So yes, I can feel my toes are on the ground, but they're not grabbing and they're not lifting. Same with my heels. My heels aren't way back. They're not digging in, and they're not lifting either. So we want a really balanced foot underneath you. That's really important, because of, you know, we have this object, this golf club, this club head, that's going to be going around our body here. So we've got to be able to make sure that we're balanced underneath, so it doesn't hinder one way or the other. And that's what I see all day long on the lesson tee, is that if you have a problem with your posture, then it really is detriment to the club and how you move. Your body can't move. So that's always an issue when people can't turn or they're out of balance. Usually we have to look at what's happening with their posture. So again, when I stand straight up and down, my feet are very balanced. You can see my head, my shoulders, my hips, they're all in line. That's why my feet feel very balanced. The golf ball is obviously on the ground, so we have to accommodate for that to put the club on the ground. So you have to counterbalance your body, okay? So it's, as much as my shoulders go forward, my hip sockets need to go back. Okay, so a couple things that I would have you do is, in my posture, as my shoulders go forward, okay, I would even take your hips here. As my shoulders go forward, my hip sockets have to go back. So I feel that same feeling that I would if I'm just standing straight up and down. So, a couple things that are big red flags for me. One is knee flex, and I hear this all the time. Bend your knees, bend your knees. Well, what does that do? As soon as I bend my knees, okay, it might feel okay in my feet, but it starts to lock my hip up here. Okay, so a lot of flex in my knees is going to lock my hip sockets up and give me the inability. I'm not going to be able to turn. The other thing that it does is it usually puts my toes right into the ground. So yes, you don't need a lot of knee flex. There's more of a bend in the leg, and that happens because your hip sockets get pulled back. So if you're someone that, if you look in the mirror and you have a lot of knee flex, for instance, if I have a lot of knee flex, one of the quickest ways that you can kind of get this out is feel like as your hip sockets pull your knees back. So you want your knees to be pretty much in line with the tongue of my shoe, or in line with the ball of my foot. Okay, so you don't want your knees well out over your toes. You're going to be able to turn, but you're going to turn right into the ball, which is, we want all this momentum. Everything's got to get away from the ball so it makes room for our arms. So when you set up, again, I would set the face of the club behind the ball. Okay, and if you're top heavy, and if you're starting to experience, if you feel that, again, you're someone that has, you know, a lot of pressure in your toes, when your hip sockets go back, it pulls you back into your heels. The adjustment that you need to make is that your feet are probably going to have to get a little closer to the ball to accommodate that. In other words, if I'm someone that's really top heavy and I'm far away from the ball, right? This is what I see more than anything. A lot of knee flex, I'm way over here. I can feel my heels coming off the ground. Okay, the tendency for this is, I might be able to turn a little bit, but I'm going to start moving right into the golf ball, and all my momentum is going to go into the ball. I'm going to have no room to swing. Most likely I'm going to come over the top of it. So if I do pull my hip sockets back, right, rather than your arms getting way out here, you need to move your feet a little bit closer to it. Push your hip sockets back, and now we can start to work back away from the ball, back into impact, and back away from the golf ball. You never want to feel like you're invading that space, and one of the biggest culprits is bad posture. So again, think of posture as counterbalancing from when you stand straight up and down. Shoulders go forward, hip sockets go back. You know, really listen to your feet. I don't want my toes way up here. I don't want them grabbing. I need to have that placement where my feet are just resting on the ground. Again, knees is it's a knee bend. It's not knee flex. So careful how much knee bend or flex you have. There is going to be a bend in the knee, yes, because your hip socket's back. But it's not going to be because I'm getting here. I mean, just think of it just like you would if you were going to deadlift. Okay, if I was going to pick up a bar of weight here, and then make my legs work. I certainly wouldn't do this because I'm not strong enough to pull that up with my arms. So again, that's another good, picture of what you want. So once we get set up here, I can start to feel, get my hands on it right. My feet are close enough. For those of you that's new, if you're going to make a little error, I'd rather you feel like your feet are a little closer and your hip sockets get a little more back. You're going to feel more back in the back seat, because I'd rather you feel like your hips and shoulders are working away and working away. So now that way I've got all this room for my arms to swing. So if we make a couple swings here, get in some correct posture, and you can even, for visual, now I can start to see how my hips and shoulders, they rotate around my spine. I'm starting to get away from the ball. I've got some room in here. Going, again, away from the ball. Hips and shoulders are going away, and I'm rotating right around my spine. Golf is played at a tilt, so I've got to make sure that my posture is correct. So let's go ahead and make some practice swings, even over the ball, and start to feel. You can start to feel how that posture is really helping you stay in those tilts. So golf is played like this on a tilt. With bad posture, you're going to be all over the place. So again, think of it as counterbalance, listen to your feet, and make sure that you're moving away from the ball and that your posture is not causing you to move into it. This is going to help you in every aspect of the game, and hopefully this is just one of those building blocks that helps you get a little bit better and take it out on the course. Hi everyone, like and subscribe to my channel, Billy Fitzgerald Golf, for all tips on golf. If you'd like a live lesson or want to send me a message, visit me at billyfitzgeraldgolf.com.